Hey, everybody. I am so excited to introduce today's guest, Erika Yalowitz. I will share a little bit about her, but I really have so many questions that I want to hear that I'll jump right in very quickly here. So Erika and I sit together. We support bras. We've been volunteering together for past several years, supporting women and girls. So I can't think of a better guest. We're pre-recording this on March 8th, International Women's Day. And Erika, in her professional endeavors, also works with women and families, so she can talk about that as well. So she's just a wonderful person who is an activist, a volunteer, and also a wonderful friend. So Erika, please say hi.
Hi, Olga. Thank you so much for having me. This is amazing, and I'm always so excited about your program. And you're so good at it. You're a natural in front of the camera. I'm still learning, but it's so nice to be here and to have a little opportunity to share with you just a little bit about me and learn more about you.
So you're such an advocate for women. So today's March 8th. We're pre-recording it. We'll share this in a couple days with everyone. You volunteer with women. You work with women. You're an activist supporting women being represented in different arenas. Can you talk a little bit about why that matters to you?
Yeah, our history has been kind of hard. I'm glad that we're going to have a museum and everything, but the history of women and when women have actually been able to participate in civic life is so recent. Just less than about a century ago, we earned the right to vote. Well, earn it. I wish it would, just a natural right, but it wasn't. And we had to fight for it. And we have had to fight for many issues, including in bras. We fight for menstrual equity, to be seen by the law just as any other individual or human being is seen, with our particular individual needs and biological needs. So I think that is very important. And it's also the fact that women are marginalized in so many other ways. I work with victims of domestic and sexual violence, and I have done so for about 10 years. And, the statistics are staggering. And I believe, I have been part of the statistics, and I believe that if you don't use your voice, you will just be part of the 99% of women who never speak about these things. So when I saw that Holly was using her voice very loudly to promote menstrual equity, I loved the cause. I loved joining in. And, by that time, I had already been working with the Office for Women and Domestic and Sexual Violence in Fairfax County, and with the courts that's my current position in Arlington. And I just wholeheartedly believe that it is necessary. It needs more voices. It needs more work. It needs more advocacy.
So where do you draw your energy? So I was thinking about the role that you play. So you meet women, families that are impacted by all sorts of very difficult circumstances. How do you stay positive? How do you not let that weigh on you? Or do you do more of what makes you happy?
I believe that you have to live your life. You have to be very, very intentional about living joyfully, and about, living your life in the best way possible, so that you can access that happiness that everyone is after, and you can find it within yourself. So that's what I do. Sometimes I have really hard days at work, or I see just horrible things with kids, or things that happen out there, and I come home and I see my own kid, and I'm like, all I want for you is just to be happy, live a happy life. Let's just be very intentional about it.
So I know that volunteering with bras was not your first volunteer experience. You've shared the stories a little bit with me about volunteering in Colombia. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, in Colombia, I did volunteer for some political campaigns, also just issues that I cared about. Um, I shared with you, I grew up in Colombia during the difficult times when bombs were exploding, and they thankfully spared me and my family. Um, I just saw, I saw war miles from my home with paramilitary groups seizing the Supreme Court justice in Colombia. It was a very difficult time, and what I wanted was to change that, to do whatever I could. I mean, I guess I was 4 at the time, but I knew I could do something. My work in life could help do something to make the world I lived in a better place. So I started volunteering, and to me, also during my upbringing, volunteering was that type of altruistic love. You are called to love your neighbor, and you're called to love everyone, and the way you help others is with that altruistic love that is volunteering. It's giving your time, giving your talents, giving your money many times to help others, to alleviate others' needs. I did some of that in Colombia, and with Colombian tribes, very impoverished tribes and indigenous people in Colombia, in some areas and provinces in Colombia, doing collections and sending money also for from here. I have for people who lost every access to water and live in deserts, and they don't leave their lands because that's where their ancestors have been buried, and that's where they live. So just things like that. That's for my home country. Then when I went to London to learn English, because I was not born an English speaker, I learned as an adult. I volunteered for Amnesty International at the campaigns department for human rights and arms control and anti-personal mines, which are a thing in Colombia as well. People are affected by anti-personal mines to this date. Losing limbs because of that. Then I came to the US and volunteered for the Hispanic College Fund. It was an organization supporting low-income Hispanic aspiring students who could not afford to go to college, but this organization could afford them some scholarships. Then I taught English as a second language for immigrant adults for 2 years. It was twice a week, 2 hours per day, intensive classes here at a church nearby, and I had a very, very popular class. So it was fun to be able to share with others that capacity. Speaking in another language, especially when you live in another country, is just a game changer.
So you and I share this experience of coming to the United States from another place, from very different corners of the world, but we share this experience, and it certainly shapes a lot of outlook and kind of how you interact and how you see things. And I think it gives a certain perspective. So I'm sure you've been watching the news in the past few weeks.
Yes, it's soul crushing. It's really, really hard to see, the heroes losing and the villains winning, like cowards, and the heroes, very brave heroes, losing like heroes. It's extremely hard to watch. I am just really hoping that this thing will bring about the help and aid of all European countries, that the countries that are remaining neutral because of their national interests will weigh in. But it's like a fight of a tiger against a tight donkey. The military capacity of Russia is pretty mighty, and it's very scary when such a power is under someone who doesn't have the judgment to lead for other purposes than vanity. Yes. That's what it's been, and that's what we've seen.
Yes. Yes. No, it's definitely a whole, and I'm sure having experienced unrest in your, well, back then homeland, gives it a whole another perspective. Um, Erika, I know you've recently been accepted to Political Leaders Program, and I would love to hear how you got involved and what are your aspirations with that, and if you can share a little bit about the program and what you hope to gain from it.
Yes, absolutely. I'm super happy about it. It's called the Sorensen Institute Political Leaders Program. There are three programs: one for high school students, one for people interested in campaigns, etc. And there is this program for people who have already, had some type of leadership in their local areas all around Virginia. And this mixes conservatives and liberals and completely different points of view, perspectives, experiences. And it brings them together to learn about issues in Virginia. So the group travels from, Northern Virginia to Southern Virginia to East Virginia, the coasts, the Chesapeake Bay, gets inside the coal mines, and learns, talks to locals, learns about the issues, the port. We have a port that, here in Northern Virginia, we don't see. And the people from rural Virginia can also get the opportunity to come to an urban area and see the problems and see that there's poverty here. We're not just the rich people up there in Northern Virginia. There are a lot of, there's a lot more going on here. So I'm very excited to learn from other people and to share also the experiences that we've had here and seen here. This is a very select group. It's a competitive program. And I'm super excited. I was awarded a scholarship by IQ Latino and the Center for Development and Democracy in the Americas, and tongue twister. And the objective is that I will help, promote leadership and Latino leadership. That we are about 18% of the population in Virginia, but the representation is about 2%, 2 to 4%.
18% of population and 2%
of representation.
So we hear a lot about representation matters, and it's in relation to gender, and it's in relation to race or ethnicity. Can you talk about why representation matters?
Oh, wow. So, for example, in the issue that you and I work on, historically, male lawmakers really failed to see the needs of women and consider the needs of women in legislature. And that is mind-blowing. The fact that a girl or a woman has to pay a high tax for a product that is a biological necessity, and men get tax exempt or exemptions for golf equipment is
mind-boggling.
So that tells you that when you are at the table, when you have a seat at the table, you're not on the menu. When you have a seat at the table, you have a say, and you can bring with you the needs and the views of others that are like you. There's so much about this. There's so much about discrimination of people of color or Latinos for access to housing, for access to health, for access to education or educational opportunities. That it is important to have a voice. I've had this discussion with some people who call it, identity politics. It's not just an identity. Is that you bring with you a set of values, a set of history, common history together, and you can understand those issues just because you have the background. You have managed to find a work permit as an immigrant. It's not an easy thing. People think that just any immigrant has the right to access social benefits. It's not true. That any immigrant can vote. It's not true. You cannot vote until you become a citizen. And
Right.
there is so much before you can even become a citizen that it is a lot of work. And you have to demonstrate your love for this country. You have to demonstrate that your work for this country. You have to demonstrate even English proficiency. That there are interviews in English that you have to go through in order to get a citizenship, and then the right to vote. So there is a lot that we share in common, and it's important to bring that perspective and bring those issues to the table as well.
Erika, I know your daughter is a little bit younger than my kids. 4th grade?
No, she's 7. She's
only 7. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I think about the change we're trying to meet in the world, and kind of, what do you hope to see for your daughter?
I might be an idealist at times. So obviously, a world peace.
World peace, yes.
But a place where education is accessible to everyone, housing is accessible to everyone, transportation is accessible to everyone, and it's not, you're not limited to one or another choice. Health is accessible to everyone, and the environment is not at risk. That the environment and health are so closely related that that she will have a future, a safe future, and the capacity to breathe the same air that we can breathe right now and drink clean water. That to me is essential, and to ensure that she will be able to do anything that she wants, and access anything that she wants as a girl or as a woman. That she will not have to be limited because she's a girl or because she's a woman. That she will not have just any barriers. I want her to go as far as she wants to go, as she chooses to go, or if she doesn't choose to go anywhere, just let her be her choice. Let it be her decision.
I love that. And everything you've listed, access to health and clean air to breathe and clean water to drink and transportation to get places. I mean, it just seems so common sense. And yet here we are in 2022 having this conversation. So Erika, thank you so much for joining me today. This was wonderful. And again, it is actually March 8th, International Women's Day, and we're recording this. I couldn't think of a better guest for this particular occasion. So, Erika, I'm excited to see all as you travel around Virginia and learn. I'll be looking for lots and lots of photos and social media. So, super excited for you. And I am sure I will be seeing you at our next BRAS meeting coming up soon.
Thank you so much, Olga.
Thank you.
Thank you.